Your chakras, especially when you're a child, are so open that every single thing that you engage almost on the highest level of what it could be. So even just a little inanimate toy becomes a character. It starts to talk. It has a name. It has a place at the table. So every single thing that you're interacting with, you're interacting with in a hyper way. And that is, of course, because your senses or your centers are completely open. And of course, you're way more in gratitude and appreciative to the experience. But as you get older and as that starts closing, literally, these are clothes that I'm wearing. It is something to cover the chakras. As I'm closing, now I'm starting to perceive less and less of the reality. I'm turning down the stimulus. And many need that because they have become so overwhelmed by all the talking, all the smelling, all the seeing, all of these things that are coming in and bombarding in the world. That's just the way that it is. They learn to turn that down using the governors of the body. This is very similar to when you're tuning an instrument, as we have organs. You're tuning the organ and you're tuning it down. This command actually goes to the thymus gland also. The thymus gland is even told by this consciousness that you have, I don't want to see these things. And you start to dictate what it is that you no longer want to see. This is also how you're able to curve out or block out other things that are also in the reality that are like in what I call in the corner of the eye. This is how you can begin to neglect and get rid of the awareness of even the place that you're standing on and its possible importance to you, like what you're eating from, the earth and all the things that are around you. And then what some would see as focus the lens more on something specific, it may be your high school crush, all your energy starts to go through those smaller portals and ventricles. This is the ebb and the flow of life. We breathe in and we breathe out. There's nothing wrong with this. But in the times where we see that it is time for us to actually find that middle point, what I call the micro breath, the part in us that realizes that we're actually beyond life. We're beyond the yin and yang. We're beyond the vibratory frequency. Now we must make the journey back home to self. And on the path, as we trust, we have guides on the path, actual guide stones that have set the order of how to return to self. And what we also did and what our ancestors also did is they left us secrets, clues, and mysteries, mostly inside of us. It's like what a funny situation when you're going outside to look for something that's inside, and then that's all part of the lesson and all part of the journey. But our ancestors hid the secrets and the mysteries to how to get in and out of matrices, which is basically means a mistress or one who is in the process of courtship. In and out of matrices, we were given the ability to go in and out of these matrices. But each time going through the experiences, we would learn almost like an adventure. What is it to be in and what is it to be out? What is it to be a part of something and what is it to be separate? What is it to co-create, more importantly, and what is it to be complete in total unity? Right? So these are now the two options that are unfolding for the conscious community. Co-creation, right? That's where externally we're all working together in a common practice of something that we want to achieve. But internally, total unity means that you actually come into the balance within yourself, and you find us all there that have been able to achieve that. Been able to get rid of all of the spectrums and the colors and the changes and the ups and the downs and center more closer to the what we call the center spindle. Some cultures call that north. North really is up. Depending on the dimensions that you're in, north is straight on a 2-dimensional plane, but up on a 3-dimensional plane. And when you're going up to what is known as the Mount Meru. And you're really going to the center column or the spindle, just like in a motor. You're going to the spindle where all the power really is. It's also very calm. There's what we call the center of the gap there, where there's this space. It's like the gap in a spark plug. It's where all of the power is. And we learn about this power through the north, south, or zigzag aspect of going through this process of knowing who self is, because it can be overwhelming. It can be a steep climb. It can be shocking to actually come into the awareness of yourself. So since, again, this is a continued build, if this doesn't make sense to you, It means that you may need to go back a few days, listen to what's there, because we've been gradually also climbing ourselves a mountain, and we've agreed, whether this thing turns on or not, it's still internet. It's still subject to, whoever's running internet. But still, whether that's running or not, that every morning that we would come into this space, this is 7 o'clock Costa Rica time, and we would do this meditation that was for the entire world, which synonymously for us is the entire cosmos. And that also, again, that in this process, we would also clarify as much as possible, as much as can be done in the English language and through also the essence that we emit, the true story of existence, in order for those who have had misconceptions, have fallen into pits, and all the different turmoils that may come on the path, that the path may be made straight for their feet. Straight means that while we have these two zigzagging paths going up the tree, as you see with the Caudaceous staff, there's also the middle path. Straight also means that in your body, you have the Ida and the Pingala doing that same thing, running the energy of the body. And then you have the spine, or the straight path. And the straight path, it is tough. It's straight and narrow is this path. It's tough because you can't even think about it. It's the part of yourself that when you can turn off both of these hemispheres, that cuts on. Now, you can do this, though. This doesn't mean it's impossible, because you actually do this every time you go to, quote unquote, sleep at night. When you released the two wheels of the brain, Cain and Abel, as we call them in the temples, yin and yang, logical and intuitive, right? When we release them, now another state kicks in. And this state says basically you can have whatever you want if you know how to use it. And that's a lucid dreamer. If you know how to lucid dream, you go right into this world and you start calling it all up. Give me a beach. Give me this, give me that. And it'll start coming into focus. But we also have to remember, we would have never really conceived what to call up if we didn't go through an experience. And that's the respect that we give to all experiences. Now, the experiences are so intertwined. When we say experience, we're not even to think of it as X, something that's external, experience. It should be insperience. Because most experiences actually lead to many things that change things about you inside. They always say that the experience of life, is like they say, the experiences of life is what the real thing is about. Just knowledge is one thing, but experience is what turns it into wisdom.